as two main people who helped support it or helped get the idea growing, and it was Margaret Sanger, and she was a founder of Planned Parenthood. She helped create the first contraceptive pill, but the very first man who brought the idea of birth control to people was Charles Middleton, and he created Fruits of Philosophies, the private companion of young married people by physician. And so he basically said that in 100 years the population will grow to increasing sizes. So you have to take control of birth and be able to take control of your body. Women need to be able to control how many children they're going to have. So he came up with the idea of inserting estrogen inside a woman after sex to prevent pregnancy. And so this method had been used for 40 years in that time period, which was the 1800s, by women to prevent pregnancies, because all of them didn't want to have children, or they didn't want to have so many children. And then 100 years later, Margaret Sanger was born, and she grew up with a lot of children in her family, so she understood what her mother was going through, having all these 12 children. And then so she created birth control clinics where she would hand out pamphlets about STDs and giving women an option and the information on having children and what they can and cannot do with their own lives. But because the government is controlling and sexist, they shut her down, and they went to go prosecute her, but she ran away to England to avoid this. And when she returned, she created the first birth control clinic, which was legal after fighting the government on many attempts. She bought them on the Comstock Act, which basically prohibited the information and delivery of birth control and obscene stuff. So ever since the government had supported Margaret Sanger in creating Planned Parenthood or the American Birth Control League, more women spoke out in favor of their reproductive rights and fought to have the view placed on women changed, which was the main reason why the government didn't support birth control. And so how birth control became legalized was in 1873 was the Comstock Act, which suppressed the trade in and circulation of obscene literature and articles of immoral use. The act criminalized usage of the U.S. Postal Service using any of the following things: erotica or contraceptives. So this act basically stops women from talking about their body and what they want to do, if they want to have children or not, and it stops information being passed around, not just information on birth control, but also STDs and having sex itself. And then we go to the 1900s because that act put in place and the government stopped people from talking about it ever. So in 1930, it addressed the illicit ban on birth control and allows diaphragms to be legal and available to only married women because they're married, they have a husband, they need this right. And in the 1960s, Margaret Sanger and a scientist named John something, I don't remember, created the first contraceptive pill and along with IUDs, which helped women control their birth and stuff like that. And then 1965 was the Griswold versus Connecticut case. This was the most important case to help birth control become legal because of the argument was used. And Griswold had argued that because she was married and she was providing married couples with information about birth control and having children, that it should be illegal. And so the Supreme Court said yes, it is legal because of control of privacy. And it changed how people and the government saw birth control. What made this case so important was the argument that was used. And the government realized that couples had the need the privacy to receive and know information on birth control. This case helped the government realize that they are involving themselves into women's and couples' private lives, which isn't fair. The significance of birth control and why it's so controversial in today's society is because of the views on women. The view of women has not changed until after World War II, where women had experienced. During World War II, women had experienced what it was like to work in factories and be a part of society. And the feminist women had gained up a lot of speed at that time, so they were able to, fight what they want. This is women before World War II. They have children and they're married and taking care of them. And that's women after and during World War II. They're all working just like men are in their society. So an example of the government trying to control women in today's society is Texas. So in 2013, Texas created a law that forced abortion clinics to operate like hospitals, which basically means they had to renovate the entire clinic to look and feel like a hospital. They had to treat women coming in as patients of a hospital, and you all been to a hospital before, you can see how frustrating that can be, because the hospital isn't always helpful and it takes forever to actually get seen by the doctor. So even renovating this facility takes a lot of money, and most of the clinics couldn't afford that. So more than 40 clinics in Texas alone have shut down, and there are only a few percent that are left, and more are shutting down because they can't control and keep up with the demands. So the reason why birth control isn't supported by Texas is because it's a conservative state, and conservatives don't really support birth control because it's seen as murder, and like you're murdering a child. The federal states say that women cannot get an abortion after 20 weeks of pregnancy because that's the point where the fetus can feel pain. So that's why they're trying to make that ban or fewer, to like 18 weeks or 15 weeks. So you're not actually murdering a child. This is a map. This is just a map of like the states restricting abortion. So this is where they create laws, even though the federal law states that you can have an abortion after 20 weeks. And then states are abusing their power, creating their own laws, and making it impossible or difficult for them to get abortions. And actually like the birth control of any type. So this is, in some states you need counseling before you actually get the abortion, so they try to convince you out of actually getting it. And then they have to like go like what they're gonna do and make everything graphic and scare women off almost. And then this is where minors are supposed to get parental consent or given notice, which is almost like every single state.
Massachusetts too?
Yeah. You need, if you're under 18. And then they need to meet hospital style centers. So this isn't a majority of the states, which is really unfair because that's a lot of money to pay to look like a hospital.
I'm hip.
And then the privileges what a hospital has. And then and so in some states they have to show you your baby before they kill it.
I didn't think they actually did.
Yeah,
that.
so
What do you mean they show you
so like it's when you go to an ultrasound, you'll like lie on the table and you get to hear the heartbeat and like baby, and they're trying to scare you away from actually getting the abortion, which is unfair because it's your decision. They shouldn't have like any say of it. They're supposed to offer you that choice. That choice should be there, and you need that choice. They shouldn't interfere with you in your head and confuse you.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And I think that's it.
Wait, so do they schedule that ultrasound the day of?
Right before, usually. You need
Why
like a
would
week
they do
before, so a week before you go and you get counseling and you get an ultrasound, you're like, this is your baby, it has a heartbeat, it's healthy, you still want to kill it.
That's evil.
And a lot of
How
times,
would you do the day of? That's kind of messed up.
Because if you're not in the position to be taking care of a child and then you do that.
and then they show you what your life could be like when you
And
start
then when you
taking
have a
it.
child as a teen, they're
Yeah.
on your back.
So they don't always
So
really,
you can take care of it anyway.
Yeah.
Or as someone who doesn't even have like a good job.
that's why it's so unfair. But then, New York, in the north, they don't have these laws. So in New York, you can be any age and get an abortion without your parental consent. So if you're 16, you could go into a Planned Parenthood and say, I want an abortion. And they would give you the information, be like, all right, this is where it's going to happen. These are the risks. Do you still want it? Like you do, like they would do for any kind of hospital. Yeah.
How safe are these like clinics though? Since there's no like parental guidance, and you can be like any age as long as you're pregnant.
It depends on where you go. So if you go in Texas, a lot have closed down, so they're forcing women to go over the Texan-Mexican border line to Mexico to get abortions, which is wrong and stupid. And then they're forcing them to go to other states to get them. So New York created an act that allowed women to receive abortions as desired, and they also held women